Good afternoon, happy stampers. My name is Judy Anderson from judystamps.com, and I'd like to welcome all my stamping friends. Whether you're watching live or watching on replay, I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule today to join me. So as you're hopping on, say hello, let me know where you're coming from, and let me know if you have started your fall decorating. It's felt like summer last weekend, and I couldn't quite get in the mood yet, but I did work in the garden. So today we are going to be making a fun card using our Woodland Scenery and our Peace on Earth stamp set. These are both stamp sets out of our new mini catalog. And speaking of the mini catalog, have you gotten yours? Well, if you aren't currently working with another demonstrator and you would like a copy, let me know. Just send me a message and I will get your address and I'll send one your way. So I just love this Woodland Scenery stamp set. It's actually found on page 19 of the mini catalog. And when I first saw it, I thought, oh, this is so me and my family, because when we go up north, it's a woodsy feeling, and I am going to be using this a lot in my scrapbooking for sure. And this is a stamp set that you can use for fall masculine cards, Christmas. In the catalog, they have a Christmas themed card in there, and I can just picture using it so many different ways. And sorry, on the same page, you'll find the Wishing You Joy sentiment stamp, which covers a lot of different sentiments for you. And it's got a lot of Christmas ones in there, or just sending you cheer, which could be if you are sick, and sending you good thoughts, right? I am also using our Early Espresso and Old Olive linen thread pack found in the mini catalog. And we're using browns today, basically, mostly for this card. So I have got some pecan pie cardstock. I have got, I use this so much lately, the Country Woods DSP, 12 by 12 DSP. And I just love this woodsy type look, some basic white and early espresso. So quite a simple, not quite monochromatic, but I consider it monochromatic because we're just using browns. So we're going to get our paper here, and this smaller piece will be a mat for the front, and that's where we're going to create our scene. I'm going to get some of this out of the way while we do our stamping. So I am going to be using quite a few of the stamps in here. I am going to be using the little cabin. It reminds me of our cabin in the woods, and I'm going to just set it down here. We've got some trees, which we're going to set on here. And then we have a deer. And I'm also going to do the smoke. So when I am planning a scene like this, I take my stamps and I set them on my card first. And I am going to be using the word "All the Best in Your New Adventure" from the Peace on Earth stamp set. And this is a stamp set, like I said, found in the catalog also. So we're going to start by placing our sentiment first. Okay, so I want to put this down here in this corner. And we're going to do all our stamping just on this piece of cardstock. I'm going to get my block. I'm going to line it up to the edges. We did this trick last week. And we're going to grab our Early Espresso ink. So we're going to ink this up and just tap, tap, tap. I need to get a mat underneath here. So I'm going to get my piercing mat, because once again, the photopolymer stamps don't have a cushioning. So you need to add a little bit of cushion underneath them so you get a good, even impression. So I'm going to stamp this right down here. Well, that wasn't straight. Let's try that again. I must not have had it on there straight. So I'm going to have to eyeball it. Okay. And I'm being very careful not to put that edge down. There we go. That's much better. Okay. So now I'm going to place my stamps on here. And I want my little deer here with the woods over here. And we're going to put our cabin on this side. Okay, so now we can do this in all different colors. And here in the crumb cake. I'm going to put these up a little bit. I'm going to move them around. Okay, let's set this on here. So let's start with our cabin. Let me make sure it's straight on there. Okay, lining up the bottom right down there. Okay, so I am going to do the cabin in the pecan pie. And the reasoning for that is because it's such a solid image, I want to make sure that I condition this first. So I'm just taking a piece of cardboard. This is a piece of cardboard, chipboard that came in with some of our cards and envelope sets. I saved these. And I'm just roughing up that stamp a little bit. Now I'm going to clean it and get any residue off of there. So I just did that to get the residue off of the stamp. I'm going to stamp it on a piece of scrap paper first. So I'm just going to grab a little piece of basic white. Up here a little bit, just a little bit. I want it to give the illusion that there is a piece of paper down there along for our sentiment. Okay, we got that stamped. Now I'm going to stamp the smoke with the early espresso. I could also use a gray, but I wanted to keep it in the same colors. Now I'm not conditioning this one because it is a smaller lined image, not so much surface, so it'll stamp. Clean that off. Let's get our trees up there. Right here. Okay, so our trees we are also going to do in early espresso. Now, by using different browns, it's going to give some depth to this scene without having to do layers. So that is just a little trick. Okay, and then we have our deer. And like I said, he's going to be done in crumb cake. Stamp him. I'm going to practice with him on the same piece of scrap. Stamped good. So we're going to put him right down here. In fact, we might put a couple of deer on here. So if you get my newsletter, you have seen some pictures of the deer that we have coming into our different camps. Both my boys have camps up there, and we have our camp. So that one's walking out of the woods and into the scene. Okay, so now I want to take this early espresso twine, linen thread, and let me find the end. Oh dear, this could be a little tricky. I should have found it to begin with. Here it is. Oh, it's really in there. I don't want to unwind the whole thing. See if I can get it out here. Usually it's not this difficult to get it out, but it's going to be stubborn. There we go. I'm going to wrap these two back around here like they were wrapped on there. Okay, just going to unwind that. Quite a bit of it. So what I'm going to do is I want to line this up, and it's going to go over the cabin just a little bit. Line it up, and I'm going to wrap it. Now I'm going to show you a little trick while I'm here. I want these to stay in this spot, so I'm just going to put a little slit right here and a little slit right here. And what that's going to do is that's going to keep that linen thread in that area. And I'm going to let it slide in that slip. And just wrap it around. And we're going to wrap it around a couple times. If you wanted to be precise with it, you could take your paper trimmer and measure it. And I probably should have done that. It would have been a little bit better. So let's cut this off. We have plenty of trim to tie a knot. Now, I'm not going to tie a bow because a bow, I feel, with this particular design would not, what do I want to say? Give me the word. Oh my gosh, I can't think. So I'm going to hold that there, put my finger on it, and tie it again. So we're just tying a knot. Pull it through. Easier said than done because I left the one tail too short. There we go. And we're going to tie a knot. Okay, so we just want that little bit right there. Okay, so now we're going to take this and we are going to raise it up on our mat. So we are going to use some black Stampin' Dimensionals. Now I use the black. I want to put it over that twine, that linen thread to help hold that. But I'm using the black because I'm putting it onto Early Espresso, which is a dark color. And I like using the dark Stampin' Dimensionals when I layer onto dark paper. Use this end right here. Okay, a couple more. Now, some of you comment that I use a lot of dimensionals. How many dimensionals do you use when you do a card? Let me know do you use a lot or do you use hardly any? I find that they're cheap enough to, just use them. If I want to pop a layer up, I want it up. I don't want it to flatten. I want to keep that dimension. Now, you don't have to remove that chad, the protective chad, on the center one if you don't want, because that's going to be standing up no matter what. But I like to go ahead and remove them. Sometimes if I'm going to stick something behind there, I won't remove all the chads. This one up. Okay, we're going to layer this on here. Now I'm going to move this piercing mat because I can't see. Okay, let's line that up. So I check these three edges for the reveal, and it should be even centered on there. Okay, so now on this smoke, I'm going to add a little bit of our Wink of Stella. Not much. And I'm just going to go in between. Got a glob there. Okay, and by doing that, that's just going to give it a little bit of shimmer like it's blowing in the wind, the sky. Let's dry that a little bit. While that's drying, we are going to go ahead and start adhering everything else. Now I'll have the measurements over on my blog. So I have scored it in half, and then I have another score line. So we're going to fold that one down and burnish it that way. Take this one up. Now you guys know I love a good book fold, and that's what we're doing here. We're doing the matchbook fold. And it's called that because it's kind of folded like a matchbook and opens like a matchbook from years ago. They don't open that way anymore. And this is just going to have a little bit of a reveal at the top and the bottom. I didn't cut it quite 1/4 of an inch smaller. And then I'm going to take my, and I could use either one here, but I want it to show, so I'm going to use the lighter. Now I could have changed the layer. I could have done that crumb cake, and then that darker would have been really sharp too. So you can change your cards up that way. And this is just slightly smaller, like it's 1/8 of an inch smaller. So you're only going to get a very small line of the early espresso there. And now we're going to go ahead and put this on. This card, instead of making a card out of it, I could have used half of it and use it on a scrapbook page for an element in place of a picture. Okay, so I've got that. I'm going to close these up because I'm sitting here watching them and it's like, you know, I'm going to get this in that ink. I just know me, and you guys know me too. So go ahead and do that. Now at the top, I want to add some more twine. So, oh, that end's going to keep coming out. So I am going to do the same thing. I'm not going to do the slits this time because I actually want it to be up into the fold. I just want to make sure I have enough to tie this time. 1, 2 times around. Okay. Much better. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cut this, and then I can arrange this. I love the linen thread because it's a little bit thinner than the twine. So I'm going to have this do a crisscross on the top. Okay. And we're going to go ahead and tie this knot on the same side. I was thinking of doing it in the middle, but I'm going to continue with the theme here. Hold that. And because I have longer tails this time, it's going to be so much easier to tie that knot. Let's put it under there. And tie. Okay. We'll trim those in a minute. Now I'm going to take my liquid glue. I'm going to separate these a little bit. I don't want them all the way to the edge because remember we have that fine line there. So now I'm going to take my adhesive and just do dots across like this. You could also take the tear-in tape, but you do want a strong adhesive here so that it holds it down. And we're just going to press. Just press it. Okay. Now I'm going to trim this, my knot legs off. Just have 2 small ones. It's just the idea that you have a little bit more pattern on there. Now you wouldn't have to do the thread on the bottom, but I like it. It gives it a lot more pizzazz here. I'm going to hold this down, pressing. Take my bone folder and just press. Fold that up. Well, it's not going to stick because it's not dry yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get well, I usually have a paper clip here just for this. See if I have one in my drawer. I have a little clippy. I'm going to put on that to hold that down there for right now. And this is going to be for the inside of our card. So I want to stamp another cabin on the inside. You could stamp any of the images you wanted. You could stamp the deer and the trees on your envelope. Don't forget to decorate those envelopes. There we go. Which we'll do while we're at it, while we're waiting for that to dry. I've got my envelope here. I don't need my pecan pie, but I do need my early espresso. For our trees. Right down here in that corner. And our smoke on our cabin to bring that theme to the inside. And then let's get our crumb cake and we'll do our deer on the front. Stamp him right there so we have a matching envelope. Okay. Let's get our adhesive again, and we'll adhere the inside of our card. Being careful not to pull that up because it is tacky now. And I'll wait until I send my card. Take that off. And there we go. A nice masculine card for those men in your life. You guys have requested for me to do more masculine, so I've been doing some more masculine cards, and that's the inside. And then your coordinating envelope. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. And once again, if you haven't received a mini catalog yet and aren't working with another demonstrator, I'd be more than happy to send you one. And don't forget about that heat embossing and fun folds class. It closes soon, so grab it while you can. So until we meet again, everybody, happy stamping.